July 6th, 2026. And ladies and gentlemen, Dusan Vlahovic still waiting for Barcelona's call. Also, Cuti Romero could be a real option for Barcelona. I got all the details for you. And finally, Marc Casado has broken the silence in regards to his future. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and welcome to the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people, my Barca News family, by reading your comments in the chat section and reacting to them live. So start filling out the chat section with your questions, your comments, and anything you want to share with the rest of us. Now, for those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, you can head to Quebec, where you could also find other gear from other football teams, clubs around the world. And if you want to buy sports gear in general, you can head to Fanatics. And finally, if you want to place any sports bets on World Cup matches, on any sporting event, you can head to Bet Us. All links in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers courtesy of Barca News. All right, having said all that, of course, I got to remind you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. Come on, guys, let's get this going. And now we can start talking about football, because what a match did we have yesterday? Did you guys watch the England versus Mexico match? I should say the Mexico versus England match. What a match, ladies and gentlemen. Mexico coming out swinging, dominating the match for like 20, 30 minutes. And when you thought the Mexican goal was about to land, boom, England scores not one, but 2 goals by Jude Bellingham, who, my God, had one hell of a match yesterday. 2 goals within 3 minutes. And when you think it's a wrap, England's up 0-2. Bam! There comes Mexico's goal, and they go to halftime 1-2. And in the halftime, you're thinking, all right, second half is about to be insane, right? Well, lo and behold, that's exactly what it was. Mexico comes out again, swinging. They want to score. They want to equalize, and bam! England gets a penalty kick. It's 1-3. You're thinking, all right, it's a wrap. It's 1-3. No coming back for that. Nope. England gets a red card. Now they're down a man. Boom, penalty for Mexico. Now it's 2-3, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then from there, Mexico were just attacking. England were holding on, and then boom, match is over. Mexico's out, and England are through 2-3. What an absolutely beautiful match. We saw everything. We saw penalties. We saw red card. We saw VAR reviews. We saw amazing goals. I mean, it was just a spectacular match. So far, my favorite match of the round of, what is it now, 16? I don't even know what round we're in. We've seen so many matches. But the best match so far in the round of 16. What a match, what a match. I think Mexico, if there's any Mexicans watching the channel, I think you guys got to be very, very proud of your team because, like I said in a previous video, if you compare the names on the Mexican squad with previous Mexican squads, I mean, this is probably the team with the least amount of stars, quote unquote. And yet, the way they've played, this is some of the best football I've seen from Mexico in a very, very long time. I mean, the collective play was just absolutely amazing. But of course, when you play against teams who have names like Kane or like Birmingham, you know, sometimes it happens. And by the way, for everyone who just loves to talk shit about anything that Barca does, how do you like Gordon? I mean, last match, he came in for Rashford, who hadn't done absolutely nothing. He assists Harry Kane twice, so he gains his starting spot back. Yesterday, he plays against Mexico, and my God, I got to say, that boy is fast. He is fast. I mean, he was smoking everybody. I mean, my God, the speed on that guy is absolutely crazy, man. I cannot wait to see what he does for Hansi Flick. But wow. But amazing, amazing match. And then, of course, from that amazing match, we come to talk about today's match, because today's match was absolute garbage. I mean, I was really excited for the Portugal versus Spain. I thought we were going to see another showdown like we saw, you know, between Mexico and England. And nope, the most boring freaking match. I mean, when it came to when they were playing in the extra time after the second half had ended, or the 90 minutes had ended, I was like praying to God. I'm like, please, somebody score. At that point, I didn't even care who scored. You know why? Because there was no way I was going to be able to watch another 2 extra halves because it was just absolutely horrendous. I mean, absolutely horrendous. From both sides, more from Portugal. I think Portugal absolutely showed us nothing. Like they had nothing no football. They proposed zero football. I think they were, and this is the thing about Roberto Martinez. Like he really wasted the golden generation of Belgium, and then now he comes to Portugal, who have a lot of young, promising players, or not to say promising, they're already showing who they are. Young, talented players with lots of potential, and he's wasting their talent as well. I mean, I feel like what Roberto Martinez was proposing from the first minute was, hey, let's get a tie and go to penalties. That's literally what it looked like. I mean, it was absolutely horrendous what we saw from Portugal, and not just as bad, but pretty bad performance from Spain. This Spain cannot beat France. This Spain cannot beat France, not the way they're playing. I mean, Lamine Yamal is still not all there. I think he having been off for 2 months right before the World Cup has really affected him. He's still not 100%. Terrible match by Pedri. I mean, ball loss after ball loss. Oyarzabal, man, that guy who was scoring all the goals today, he forgot how to play. Someone should look into to see if, I don't know, maybe he has his mom is Portuguese, or he has a grandpa who's Portuguese, or his wife is Portuguese. But today, Oyarzabal was playing like he wanted Spain to lose. Porro and, what's the other guy, big hair guy? Porro and Cucurella. Not a bad match, but not a great one either. I mean, they kind of were just there. I think the only ones who had a really good match was Dani Olmo. My God, the passes he was sneaking through were absolutely amazing. And then Cubarsí and Laporte, who did a pretty good job. Oh, and Unai. Unai had pretty good saves. The one against Penaldo, where Penaldo heads the ball or kicks the ball, and he just flies in the air and grabs it in the air. I don't know how the hell he did that. It's like he activated the magical jetpack that just propelled him into the air. But terrible match. But Spain are through. They're through. They're waiting to see who will be the winner today between USA and Belgium. I think that's going to be a good match. It's an absolute shame what FIFA did with Balogun. Balogun. Someone told me it's Balogun, Mo. I got to remember. Balogun. I think we have a U.S. team that is capable of beating Belgium with or without Balogun. Not to take away from what Balogun is doing, because he's absolute class. But lifting that suspension, there's absolutely no explanation for it. I mean, the red card was a red card any day of the week. He stepped on that guy's ankle. It was a clear red card. And here's the crazy thing. FIFA's not saying that it wasn't a red card. They're saying it is, and he should be suspended, but we're going to suspend him at a later date. It's what they did with Penaldo, by the way. Penaldo was supposed to serve a 2-match suspension, but they lifted it just for the fuck of it, just so he can play the World Cup. I really hate that. I hate Infantino. I hate FIFA. I think they're ruining the sport. But it is what it is. And, and if today we get the win, which I think we can, we're more than capable of beating Belgium, it's going to be a stained win because, FIFA went and did that, which is an absolute shame because the U.S. team is out. It's been so impressive to me the way they've been playing football, on the collective level. They've been absolutely amazing. But we'll see. I was hoping Pochettino would just keep Balogun on the bench and show the world that, hey, we don't need FIFA's help. But I just saw the lineup. Balogun is in starting. But either way, I really hope we get the win tonight and send Belgium packing. But Penaldo fans are going to have to go back and living under a rock again. They've been hiding under the rock for the last 4 years. During this World Cup, they came out. And now they're going to have to go back and hide under a rock again. By the way, what a shame what Penaldo did. He should have, and this has happened to a lot of greats. They don't know when to retire. They don't know when to step away. And he shouldn't have played this World Cup because today I saw Penaldo that was absolutely lost on the field, man. Just slow, losing balls. The way they kept taking the ball away from him, I mean, he was just taking candy from a little kid. And it's like, is that really what you want to be remembered by, just a old man who's super slow and can't do anything. I mean, even last match against Croatia, as soon as he came out, the team improved 10 times more. And it's like, what are you doing, bro? But anyways, World Cup over for Portugal. Also, another Barcelona player goes home, which is, of course, Rafinha, who left yesterday with Brazil. He'll get to focus now on his recovery. That's added, of course, to Araujo, who was eliminated with Uruguay in group stages. Frankie got eliminated with the Netherlands in a round of 32. And then who else got eliminated from Barcelona? I think that's it, right? Frankie, Araujo, Rafinha, and that's it. And then Spain still has, they're still in. Kunde's still in with France. By the way, Kunde's having a pretty good World Cup. We're just like, bro, can you play like that for us too? That'd be amazing. But anyways, enough about the World Cup. Let's talk about the news real quick about Barca news. And this one is a little bit, has to do with the World Cup indirectly. But let's talk about, of course, Julian Alvarez, which I know. You guys are probably sick and tired of hearing about Julian Alvarez. Trust me, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Julian Alvarez. And not only I have to hear about it, but I actually have to come here and tell you about it. So I'm double sick. I'm sick of hearing about it, and I'm sick of talking about it. But we have to talk about it. It's Barca related, so we have to talk about it. Now, what is the new update on Julian? Of course, I told you the other day that Barcelona have set a deadline to hear back from Atletico de Madrid, and that's the end of the World Cup. And when I say end of the World Cup, it means end of the World Cup for Julian. In other words, if Argentina goes all the way, then it's the end of the World Cup, right? If they get eliminated in semifinal, then that's going to be the end of the World Cup, that semifinal match, right? You get the point. But Barcelona, Laporta, he's president again. On July 1st, he became president again. And he said in his speech that, yes, Barcelona had sent an offer, that they hadn't heard back from Atletico, that offer is still, valid, but that they weren't going to wait forever. And lo and behold, a few days later, we found out that the deadline is the end of the World Cup for Julian. Well, that's not the new update. I had already told you about that. The new update is that Barcelona are not ruling out withdrawing the offer at any point. They're putting pressure on Atletico. They're like, hey, if you want to respond, that's cool. But you have until the end of the World Cup to respond or not. And we can even withdraw the offer before. Why? Because Hansi Flick is getting sick and tired of this wait. Hansi Flick, Hansi Flick is preparing for the preseason. Remember, the preseason starts on July 13th. Right? That's next week on Monday. That's when the available players will report to the Ciudad Esportiva to undergo medical exams. And Hansi Flick needs to plan his season. He needs to know what players are available to him, what players he'll be able to count on. And right now, he doesn't know. Is Julian coming for sure? Is he not? If he doesn't come, who's he going to be? I don't know. So Flick is getting very upset about all this whole circus. He wants to know who can he include in his preseason and season plans. And right now, he doesn't know. So Barcelona are not ruling out withdrawing the offer even before the World Cup because they can't wait forever. And this, of course, presents a problem for Atletico. They're trying to pretend like it's not. They're trying to pretend like, oh, we don't want to sell him, so we don't care. But this is a big problem for them because they have a big problem on their hand. And it's that they have a player who doesn't believe in their project, who doesn't want to be at their club, whose own coach doesn't want him there. The fans don't want him there. And that's radiation in the locker room, right? That's biohazardous material, and they need to get rid of it. And if Barcelona withdraw their offer, well, they're going to have a problem because Julian only wants to go to Barca. So, Atletico, clock is ticking, ladies and gentlemen. You better hurry the F up. Anyways, let's do the comment section. And then we're going to talk about more news, including Dusan Vlahovic and El Cuti Romero. But first, we do have let's fucking go! Chavez Juan, thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. But Chavez Juan says, Mo, I'm sad, but I'm proud. Very proud, bro. Why are you sad, my friend? And why? I'm guessing because Mexico, right? Because we were talking about Mexico. Yeah, you should be proud. You should be proud. This Mexican side, man, they really played some of the best football I've seen from them in many, many years. Some of the best football I've seen in the World Cup. I mean, of course, I'm not saying the best because we have teams like France, but some of the best, right? And I only clarify because then tomorrow I'll be like, what about France? What about this? And it's like, oh my God, these people don't understand what's, being one of the best versus the best. So anyways, I got to explain. But yes, Mexico has played some of the best football I've seen. I mean, they went not only undefeated until yesterday, but they didn't concede a single goal. And that's pretty amazing. And just the way they play, I mean, this has Rafa Marquez written all over it. So you shouldn't be sad because this is still a young project that's barely starting. And if Mexico did what it did this World Cup, despite being a new project, you have a lot to look forward to, my friend. You have a lot to look forward to. I think next World Cup, Mexico could be, a surprise. Well, it was already a surprise this World Cup, but they could be even a bigger surprise next World Cup, especially when Rafa Marquez becomes the head coach, because, Javier Aguirre, he's supposed to be the coach until this World Cup, and then Rafa Marquez takes over. But what Mexico has done, it's pretty amazing. It was kind of like when Flick came on, and it was like we went from like at this point, yeah, we have Lamine, we have Pedri, but we had much bigger names before with Valverde and Koeman, and we had Messi and Suarez and blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden Flick comes, and then you see this amazing football being played by Barca, and it's thanks to what Flick was able to do with the players that he has. And it's kind of like what Javier Aguirre and Rafa Marquez have done with this Mexican side. But you have a lot to look forward to, my friend. Definitely be proud. And Chavez Juan with the second donation. Thank you so much, my friend. Again, for your generosity. But Chavez Juan says, Gordon did a good job. Jorge Sanchez couldn't handle him. He needed help from Piojo Alvarez. Man, that boy is fast. I mean, he caused the penalty that gave England the third goal. But here's the thing about this English side, though, I got to say. What was I going to say? In the English side, they seem to be constantly having to be saved by individual players, right? Yesterday against Mexico had to be Bellingham. Hell of a game, by the way, for Bellingham. My God. In the match before that, when they played against, was it Panama? I think it was Panama. It was Harry Kane. So, yesterday, Mexico was a much better team than England. But of course, when you have heavy hitters like that, sometimes you end up paying for it, right? So amazing effort by Mexico. And my God, Gordon, bro. Gordon. But thank you, my friend, for your donations. Let's look at what the Rebel Pilot has to say. He says, thank you, Ferran, Blobfish Torres, and Mikel Superman Merino for forever ending the noise pollution that is the CR7 fan base and finally putting this useless debate to rest for good. I mean, the debate never existed, right? Messi was always much better than Penaldo. Not to say that Penaldo's not good. Obviously, he's one of the greatest in history and one of the greatest strikers. I mean, goal-making machine. He's an absolute box predator. But you can't compare what Messi at 10, like a true 10, does versus what Penaldo does as a winger or a striker. Because, Penaldo can score a lot of goals, 100%. But so can Messi. And on top of that, he can assist. He can distribute the ball. He can create plays. He can score from anywhere, right? He could do a lot more things that Penaldo can't because he's a true number 10, right? People forget what wearing that 10 on your back means. It's not just a random number, right? Number 10 is the heart and soul of the team. It's the guy that creates. It's the brains of the operation. And Penaldo's a great striker, but he's not a 10. And you cannot compare what a number 10 does to any other position because a number 10 has to be able to do everything. Not just score goals, but also assist and distribute the ball and build plays and organize the team. Start attacks, dictate the tempo, all of it, right? So Messi does a lot more things that Penaldo can't do. So there was never a debate, right? Penaldo's the kind of guy you send him across into the box and he's going to score it, period. Messi's the kind of guy who grabs the ball in the middle of the field, dribbles 5 players, and then scores. So there was never, ever, ever a comparison. A comparison came about because of Madrid's inferiority complex, right? Because Pep Guardiola destroyed them for so many years. And they couldn't handle the fact that Barcelona, their arch enemy, had the greatest player on earth. So in order to combat that, they had to manufacture this debate that somehow Penaldo was better than Messi or even comparable to Messi, which he never was. So this debate is a manufactured debate, is a fake debate. There was never a comparison until Penaldo joined Madrid. And we've seen it. We've seen it. We continue to see it. So I don't think there was ever a debate. And if there was, I mean, that debate was laid to rest in 2022. But Penaldo fans won't give up. And he wanted to revive it. And they shouldn't have. Because now Penaldo looks even worse. He shouldn't have even went to this World Cup. I mean, he was getting in the way of his team as opposed to helping them. Meanwhile, Messi's carrying Argentina on his back at 39 years old. The guy has scored 7 goals, right? He scored what? 6 goals in the group stages, 6 out of 8. Argentina scored 8 goals total. 6 out of those were Messi's. That's insane. So yeah, there was never a debate. And even if there was, that debate died a long time ago. Java the Hutt. Oh, and this is how you know a debate was over a long time ago. Because Penaldo fans keep moving the posts, right? They used to say, whoever has more Ballon d'Ors is the GOAT. And Messi won more. They're like, okay. Ballon d'Or, that's rigged. It's whoever has the most golden boots. Because golden boots is just about goals, right? There's no voting. Can't rig that. You either score the goals or you don't. Boom. Messi wins more golden boots. Oh, okay. We got to come up with something different. I got it. Messi's not the GOAT because he's never won anything with other clubs, but Penaldo did. He won with, Juventus, Madrid, and Manchester United. Messi leaves. He wins with PSG. He wins with Inter Miami. They're like, shit, let's come up with something different. Oh, I got it. Penaldo's the GOAT because he won with Portugal, and Messi hasn't won anything with Portugal. Well, Messi goes and wins the Copa America. Oh, damn it. Okay, let me think of something. Oh, got it. Messi's not the GOAT because he hasn't won the World Cup. Boom, he wins the World Cup. Damn. Okay, World Cup is rigged. Boom, Messi goes and wins another Copa America, and they're like, They just keep moving the post because that's what losers do. Losers always move the post, and losers always come up with excuses, right? Ballon d'Or is rigged, FIFA's rigged, everything's rigged. If their guy wins, it's fair. If someone else wins, it's rigged. It's called being a loser. Lasso Lil says, if Barca really wants a center back, Mbokazi from South Africa is a perfect fit. Please, Mo, review him. I don't know much about him. I just saw the very little I saw in the World Cup. But we definitely don't need midfielders. Center back, sorry. We don't need center backs right now because we're pretty much full, right? We have Coarci, we have Gerard Martin. They both are starting, right? We have Christensen, who just got renewed. Araujo's not going anywhere. And then we have the Barça Athletic defenders too, like Alvaro Cortés. So, all right, let's get back to the news. And then we will get back to the comment section. But let's talk about Dusan Vlahovic, since we just finished talking about Julian, because as you know, Julian Alvarez remains the number one option for Barcelona, but of course there's a long list of option Bs in case the Julian Alvarez signing doesn't happen. And one of the players on that list, towards the bottom of the list, is of course Dusan Vlahovic, the 26-year-old striker whose contract has already expired with Juventus, by the way. It expired on June 30th. Technically, he's already a free agent. He's a player without a club. Now, Juventus did everything in their power to extend the contract of Dusan, but Dusan didn't want to. Right? He was asking for a lot of money that Juventus wasn't willing to pay him, and plus, I think Dusan was just over Juventus. So, I feel like part of him asking for a lot of money was a good excuse to just dip because I think he's been very disappointed at what's happened at Juventus. Dusan Vlahovic has offered himself to Barcelona 1 million times. I've lost the count of how many times he has offered himself to Barca. But, of course, Barca so far have not pulled the trigger because they don't consider Dusan Vlahovic as a top priority for them. And well, it has to do with his performance. In fact, Barcelona have already reached out to Dusan and his agent, where they spoke, to see what's going on, if he was interested in joining, what would be his salary request, things like that. And in that meeting, Dusan let Barca know that not only he wants to come to Barca and that Barca is his priority, he's willing to do anything to come to Barca. He's willing to accept a secondary role, and he's even willing to reduce his salary, something he's not willing to do for other clubs, right? Because that's how much he wants to play for Barca. Now, Barcelona don't see him as a priority because of his performance. They've seen a player who absolutely killed it at Fiorentina, but since arriving in Juventus, he's been pretty much on a decline. That's why they don't consider him a priority. And Barcelona see Dusan more as a replacement for Ferran as opposed to a replacement for Lewy, right? If Barcelona bring Dusan, would be because they already signed Julian and Ferran decides he wants to leave, so they would bring Dusan to be Julian's substitute. That's kind of how Barcelona see him, more of a replacement for Ferran than an actual starting nine or a replacement for Lewandowski. But nonetheless, and by the way, Barcelona communicated that to him during that meeting that, hey, yeah, we are considering you, but you're not a top priority. But despite that him offering himself to Barca many times and Barcelona not seeing him as a priority, Dusan continues to wait for Barcelona, and it's reported that he just received a very lucrative offer from the Turkish side Besiktas, where they're offering him a 3-year contract, 8 million euros per season, which is pretty good money, around what he's asking for. However, he has instructed his agent to put that offer on hold because he wants to wait to see if Barcelona pick up the phone and call him. So Dusan continues to wait for Barca. And of course, my question to you is, what do you think about Dusan? Is this someone Barcelona should seriously consider? And if so, should it be in the place of Julian? Or do you also see him like Barca, more of a replacement for Ferran than actual Julian? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section. For me, I'm on the fence with this guy. Again, at Fiorentina, he was amazing. But at Juventus, didn't really impress. His numbers have only gotten worse and worse with every season. Now, to be fair, a lot of it also, some of it also has to do with the fact that Juventus have been on a decline. But nonetheless, I can see why Barcelona will be hesitant to bring him as a starting center forward, right? Because if you bring him as a starting center forward and you're relying on him and he ends up failing, then you're screwed. You cannot have a terrible center forward, right? Then your whole season is shot. If you bring him and he works out, amazing, sure. This is why it's safer to bring him as a sub, because then if he kills it as a sub, he regains the spot. The spot becomes his. But if he ends up sucking as a sub, who cares? He's a sub, right? But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the chat section or the comment section. And now let's get back to the chat section, and then we are going to talk about El Cuti Romero. But first, we have a donation. Let's fucking go. Thank you so much, Sanjok, for your generosity. But Sanjok says, everyone who's saying we need to sign Haaland instead of Alvarez, it will cost us 240 mil plus combined wages of our top 3 earners. Not gonna happen. 100%. For starters, Haaland is not for sale, right? He has a 10-year contract. He has, like 9 or 8 years left on that contract. And as you know, the longer the contract is, or the more years are left on a contract, the more the player's price is. Now, let's look at transfer market to see what his value is. Which, by the way, apparently I saw some reels from Norwegian people who say it's Holland. Okay, his market value is 200 million euros. Okay, that's your market. That's the market value. Now, the more years are on a contract, the more a club will charge above market value. So if Holland is worth 200 million and he still has 8 years on his contract, 240 is not far off. You're right, Sandro. You're talking about 240 mil. That's almost double of what Julian would cost. Now, that's just his transfer fee. His salary right now is, mamma mia. His salary right now is 33.5 million euros. Remember, Barcelona has a salary structure where the top maker cannot make more than 10 million. This guy will be making triple that. That's insane. So I know you guys are thinking Holland, yeah, bring Holland. He's amazing. He's doing amazing at the World Cup. Absolutely. I would love to bring Holland. I think we bring Holland to Barca. The guy would be putting up 50, 60 goals a season. We're winning everything there is to win. Like, undoubtedly. But with what money? We would have to sell the Camp Nou to bring Holland. And then where do we play? At the park? But anyways, it would be nice to dream. Nice to dream. It's always nice to dream. Dreaming is free. Dreaming is free. Waffle says, I already bought the home jersey. Should I get a away kit with Julian Nemo? What's your current percentage of Julian coming? Oof. I think Julian will leave. I think he will leave. I think what he did is, it's very hard to come back from that, right? We saw it with Lewy, right? Lewy, Bayern were like, he's not for sale. He's not for sale. He's not for sale. Barcelona can't even afford him. He's not for sale. And then boom, Lewy comes out and says, you know what? I want to leave. And then Bayern continued to like, he's not for sale. He's not for sale because they have to do that, right? You have to do that. This is why Atletico continues saying that, because you have to do that. The moment you come out and admit, okay, he is for sale, you lose a lot of negotiating power, right? It's kind of like when you go and want to buy a car. You want to seem interested, but you don't want to be like, oh my God, I love this car. Best car ever. I want this. Because the guy selling you a car is going to be like, okay, this guy's dying to have this car. I can sell it to him for whatever price, right? So you cannot lose your ground. So, and Lewy came out and said, I want to leave. And Bayern continued with the charade. He's not for sale. Barcelona cannot afford him. And what happened? Lewy came, right? So I feel like there's a very good chance of Julian coming. Would I go buy his jersey? No, because good chance is not 100% guarantee. As we know, nothing is 100% in football or in life. So I wouldn't buy it yet. Let's see. The Jeff says Rodri is class. Yeah, he is. That pass that he put on. Who was it to? Was it Lamine? He had this incredible pass from the midfield that went through all of Portugal's lines right into the box. And I was like, the vision to do that and the precision, I mean, it was just out of this world. He really is world class. And Jason says, Pau is world class defender, 100%. I think Pau Cubarsí, which is an absolute shame that not more people are talking about this in the media, but Cubarsí is probably is probably one of the best center backs in the entire World Cup. I mean, the World Cup he's having is amazing. I mean, he's only, 18, 19 years old. And the World Cup that he's having, I mean, you would think this is Cubarsí's 5th World Cup in a row or some shit like that, because, I mean, how composed he is in the back. I mean, his decision-making, it's just solid defender, man. Solid defender that's there to stop everything and can still push forward and help with the offense. I mean, his composure is just out of this world, man. His ball IQ is just out of this world for someone who's that young, you know. Aloysius Blama says, when you don't want to resign as an old player, 41, small children can make you resign by force. That's true. That is very true, my friend. And Justice says, I think Argentina will play Spain in the final and Argentina end up winning the trophy. I mean, Argentina in the final will be insane against Spain, because we're talking about, Messi versus Lamine. That will be a pretty cool final. But we'll see. Spain's going to have to improve if they want to make it to the final, man. Because, sheesh, that performance today was not cool. Not cool. Let's do one more comment and then we'll continue. But B4K Chema says, I will sell Casado. Do you think we aim for Mora? Close sources in Tijuana state he's not going for anything higher than 30 mil. His agent even confirmed on the down low. I don't think there's any intention to go for Gilberto Mora. Not because he's not good. Obviously, we all saw what he did. He did have yesterday's match. I think he caused the second goal, if I remember correctly. But that's just inexperience, man. But Mora is like, whoo. I mean, his match against Ecuador was just out of this world. But I don't think there's intention to go for him, not because he's not good enough, obviously. It's because where do you put him, right? We can't keep signing midfielders. Even with the sale of Casado, Casado's our 7th midfielder, right? So even with the sale of Casado, you bring Gilberto, and it's like, again, where do you put him? I mean, we have Pedri, Bernal, and Fermin are technically your starting 3. And then Fermin can alternate with Olmo. Bernal can alternate with Frankie. Pedri with Gabi, right? Or the opposite. Pedri with Frankie and Bernal with Gabi. And then where do you put Gilberto? And that's not even taking into consideration the reserve team midfielders who will be playing, hoping to gain a spot on the first team, you know? So I don't see Barca going for him, and it makes sense not to go for him. Again, not because he's good. I would love to have Gilberto Mora on the team, but where do you put him? You know, we cannot keep collecting midfielders. Plus, it wouldn't be fair for him, honestly. I wouldn't want him to come to Barca just so he can sit on the bench. And, you know, I would rather him go somewhere else and get the minutes that he needs and deserves, because with time, this guy's going to be the next Pedri, the Mexican Pedri. But anyways, let's get back to the news, and then we'll do more comments. Today, we're ending at 8 because I got to watch the game against Belgium, unless they delayed it. Yesterday, I had no idea that they had delayed the Mexico-England match. I went to turn on the TV, and I see them interviewing the singer from Mana. And I'm like, why is Mana on TV and not the game? And lo and behold, they had moved it. Okay, it still says 8 p.m. So we're good. We're good. All right, let's do the next bit of news, because we do have to talk about El Cuti Romero. Cristian Romero, the 28-year-old Argentine center back, because his potential move to Barca could happen. And how can that happen? Well, as you know, Cuti Romero was one of the players that Barcelona were tracking when Barcelona were in the market for a center back, right? There was a lot of talks about Bastoni, Van de Ven, amongst other defenders. And one of them was a Cuti Romero, because Tottenham Hotspur were on the verge of being relegated. And had they been relegated, Cuti Romero had a release clause that would allow him to leave Tottenham. I think it was for 20 mil, if I remember correctly, which, of course, for someone of the caliber of Romero, that's a steal. So Barcelona were monitoring this situation to see, you know, if that happened. If Tottenham did get relegated, then Barcelona would have jumped on the opportunity and just paid the release clause and snatched him up, of course, assuming that he would want to come to Barca. But Tottenham did not get relegated. They're still in the Premier League, so that release clause is no longer in play, and the interest kind of died out, right? The interest was kind of like, all right, we can get him for cheap. Why not? But now we are reopening the Cuti Romero interest. Why? Because it's being confirmed by many sources, including Fabrizio Romano, that Tottenham Hotspur will be putting El Cuti Romero on the market this summer. And the reason for that is because the player has informed Tottenham that, well, his run at Tottenham has ended, right? So he's looking for a fresh start or a new chapter. And here's where it gets even more interesting. He wants to play in La Liga. Okay? So he wants to leave. Tottenham are open to him leaving. And he wants to go to La Liga. So all these things combined make his arrival at Barcelona a very possible one. Now, Barcelona are currently very attent to the situation. They're keeping a very close eye on what happens with Cuti Romero. And they could enter negotiations for him. Right now, there's no negotiations. I want to make that clear. Barcelona are not negotiating with the player. Barcelona are not negotiating with Tottenham. But they're seeing this as a market opportunity to bring a player with lots of experience, a World Cup winner with lots of experience, Premier League experience, Champions League experience, World Cup experience, who's aggressive, who's a leader on and off the field, and who's a, hierarchical player. Someone where Barcelona's backline could benefit a lot from, right? Because our backline is pretty young and inexperienced with Cubarsí and Gerard Martin. So someone like Cuti Romero can inject that experience into them, kind of like what Martinez did, right? When he came to Barca and he played next to Pau Cubarsí and Íñigo, of course. That's what I'm talking about. So Barcelona looking at this as an opportunity to inject more experience into our back line. But what's stopping Barca from officially entering the race? Well, we still don't know how much Tottenham are going to want for him, right? He has a contract until 2029 with the English side. So Barcelona want to first see what Tottenham is going to ask for. And they also need to know what Cuti Romero is going to ask for. Because as we know, salaries in the Premier League are much higher. So he's going to want, something, I imagine, that's either equal or greater than his current salary. And he is a World Cup winner. And usually World Cup winners, they want to earn like a World Cup winner. So Barcelona, very, very attent to this situation because Cuti Romero wants to leave. He wants to come to La Liga, and Barcelona are paying close attention because they see this as a good opportunity to bring someone with experience to the club. But again, it will all depend on the players and his current club's financial demands. Now, Atletico Madrid are also very interested. We'll see what happens. Anyways, let's get back to the news, chat section. And then we'll do the last bit of news as we are nearing 8 p.m. And we got a game coming on. U.S. The U.S. If you're wondering why there are stars on my jersey or on my cape, there we go. That's because this is the women's one. If you don't know, the U.S. women's national team has won 4 World Cups. Women's World Cups, and this is why it has 4 stars. The reason why the 4th one is gold, it's because I got this kit when the women's team won their 4th World Cup back in 2018. Yeah, 2018. 2018? No, 2020. 2018. I can't remember what year. This was many years ago. It's before COVID, for sure, because I watched the final, and right away I bought this kit. And actually, I saw the team because they came to New York City and they did the parade. So I got to see all of them on the bus. And I was like, It was pretty cool. But anyways, let's see. Where did we leave off? Jason says, whatever, Pinaldo's a World Cup flop. It did take him 20 years to score a goal in the knockout stages, and it had to be from a gifted penalty against Croatia that he didn't even create. Java the Hutt says, with how stacked this France team is, do you think it's best World Cup team since Brazil 2002? And do you think Mbappe will be Mr. World Cup when his career is over? That's a good question. I do think this is definitely the best France we've seen. It's even a better France than the 2022, and they made it to the World Cup final. Because back then, they only had Mbappe. They had Dembele, but it was shit version Dembele. And now it's prime Dembele, who just won 2 Champions Leagues. So right there, that's a huge improvement. And then you add to that equation, Olise, and Doué, and Pupupe, Makupuhe, and Barcola. And now you're like, whoa. If just Mbappe, they had Giroud and Griezmann. But I think the players that they have now are much better than those. But if just Mbappe was able to take them to the final, can you imagine now when you add all these names, Dembele, Doué, Olise, does their name have to end in A for them to be part of the team? I don't know. And even when they won it in 2018, even though they had prime Conte, but oh my God, man, prime Conte was like, woof, mwah. But still, now will Mbappe be Mr. World Cup? I don't think he's Mr. World Cup right now. I don't know if he will be when he ends his career because I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't see the future. Why don't I think he's Mr. World Cup right now? Because Mbappe has had something that Messi hasn't had, and that's superb teams. Mbappe has been part of the three best Frances in history: the 2018 France, the 2022 France, and now this France. Messi, on the other hand, has played with some pretty shitty Argentinas. And he took the 2014 Argentina to the World Cup final. You know how hard that is? That's like taking, I don't know, Valencia to the Champions League final. Okay. That's a pretty tough thing to do. In 2018, that Argentina was probably as good as, I don't know, Getafe? No, not even. I think Getafe would have beat that Argentina. And he single-handedly took them to the World Cup. They were out of the World Cup. And then he comes in. I think it was against Bolivia. I can't remember what team he played against. And he scored a hat trick. And he single-handedly made him qualify to the World Cup. Mbappe has never done that. Mbappe has always had the best teams. The best team in the World Cup. Like the 2018, France was obviously the best team in that World Cup. They won it. In 2022, if you compare man for man, Argentina and France, France's team was 10 times better. I mean, France was made up of all players that were Champions League club players versus Argentina. Most of their players were like Europa League players. So France was also the best team in the World Cup in 2022. They're the best team in this World Cup. So Mbappe has always played with the best teams. Versus Messi, he has had to carry some pretty shitty Argentinas pretty far. And again, even when they won the World Cup, France was still a much better team. So right now, I wouldn't call it Mr. World Cup. Absolutely not. I think Messi is. But what's going to happen from here until Mbappe retires, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I mean, for all we know, France, after this World Cup, becomes the next Germany, and they never get past the group phase, you know? So I don't know. George says, I like having different types of players on the squad to give different solutions in tight games. I do too, my friend. I do too. Let's see. Phil. Oh, my God. I glanced on the name real quick, and I don't know why I thought it said pedophile. That's horrible. But it's Phil. It says Barcelona board still stuck with a getting a center forward, and it's C. Barcelona board still stuck with getting a center forward, and it's C. Oh wait, there we go. We got the full comment here. Barcelona still stuck with getting a center forward, and it's very disturbing. Why would that be disturbing? That's literally the position that we need the most. We can't rely on Alvarez because he's not even playing well currently. I mean, there's nothing disturbing about that. It's literally what we need. Saying that Barcelona wanting the center forward is disturbing is like, I don't know. You're hungry and you decide to buy food, and people are like, it's disturbing. You want to go buy food. And it's like, but that's what I need. I'm hungry. You know. As far as Julian, no, he's not having a World Cup. He has having a pretty terrible World Cup. I don't know if it's the injury. Because remember, he arrived at the World Cup injured. He injured his ankle before the Champions League semis against Arsenal, and he risked it. He got injected with painkillers so he can play. And as you know, when you play with an injury and all numb, it makes your injury way worse because A, you're playing, right? You're not supposed to play when you're injured, and when you do play when you're injured, you're making things worse. And B, when it's numb, you can really hurt yourself because you can't really feel too well how you're stepping. So you could end up stepping really badly, twisting your ankle, and not even notice it because it's numb. So he did that. And of course, he made his injury a lot worse. And he arrived in the World Cup with his ankle still injured. He played in the group phase with the injury. That's why we saw him come off the bench a lot of times. And I think he wasn't truly fully fit until this last match against Cape Verde, which, of course, he also had a bad match. But, I mean, if you just recovered from an injury, I don't expect, nobody expects you all of a sudden hit the ground running. But, yeah, he's having a bad World Cup. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news, and then we'll do a few more comments. It's almost 8 p.m. I got to go watch the game. But let's talk about Marc Casado, because there's been a lot of speculation about Casado's future. As you know, Casado has a lot of offers, a lot of interest, I should say, not a lot of offers, a lot of interest from many clubs around Europe, including in Spain, and of course, Saudi Arabia. There's been a lot of speculation about his future because on one hand, Casado, of course, wants to stay. He's always said he wants to stay and fight for a spot. But on the other hand, he is 22 years old. He needs to be playing. And well, at Barcelona, he hasn't been getting the minutes. In fact, there were a lot of speculation about him leaving last summer. Hansi Flick convinced him to stay, and he did. There was a lot of speculation about him leaving in the winter. Hansi Flick once again spoke to him and convinced him to stay, and he did. Or asked him to stay, and he did. And now there's been a lot of speculation about his future again. So Casado was asked about it in his two most recent interviews. The first one with Cuti Romero. It's a show on sports. And then the second one was with Gigantes, who, of course, is a show by Gerard Romero. Now, the first interview, this is what Casado said at Cuti Romero. My goal has always been to be in the Barça first team. As long as the club and the manager want me here, I will fight for playing time. We spoke with Hansi Flick and made things clear. The preseason will help us finalize the situation. So this is kind of along the lines of what we've been hearing, that Casado wants to stay. It's his dream to play for Barca. It's his dream to retire at Barca. But on the other hand, he does need minutes. So this kind of goes along that pattern or those reports that we've heard, because he's not saying I'm staying for sure, but he also not saying he's leaving. He's like, his goal is to fight for his spot, but only if the club and the manager want him there. And if they don't, he'll go somewhere else and look for minutes somewhere else. But the difference is, or the new thing is, that he's now talking about the preseason. So it looks like he did talk to Flick, and Flick was said, stay for the preseason and let's see how it goes. So it looks like Casado will be doing the preseason, and then at the end of the preseason, Flick will tell him, all right, yeah, you can stay. I can see you getting more minutes, or you know what, you're not cutting it, or maybe you are cutting it, but there's no way you're going to be taking minutes away from someone like Bernal or Frankie, blah, 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 blah. So it looks like Casado will be staying at least until the end of preseason. And based on that, he will either decide to stay if Flick asks him to, or go somewhere else. Again, if Flick tells him that he doesn't count on him. Now, these are the statements from his interview with Gigantes, where Casado said in the end, no player likes to participate less, to have fewer minutes. But I've always said that whatever comes my way, I'll always try to give everything for the team and the dressing room, and that's how it's been. I've always given 100%. If I were at another club, it would be very different. I wouldn't even think twice, and I'd be looking for other opportunities. And then on Monday, I'll go and talk to whoever I need to, everyone. We'll start preseason, and we'll talk to the manager, the club, and the agents, and we'll decide what's best for everyone. So this interview came before the sports one. Here he's saying, again, same thing, that he would always fight for his spot, but it's going to depend on what the club wants, that he's going to talk to them. The second interview was after he talked to them, and it looks like, again, same thing, he's going to fight, but it depends on the club, and it looks like they've asked him to do the preseason. So, in conclusion, Casado wants to stay, but it's going to depend on the preseason. Flick is going to try him out, and then at the end of the preseason, Flick will either say, okay, we count on you, stay, or it's better you go somewhere else. And if that's what it is, then he's going to have to go somewhere else. But his goal has always been and always will be to earn a spot on, or to earn minutes on the first team, which of course I don't doubt it, because if there's anyone that's fully committed to Barca, is Marc Casado, the academy graduate. All right, that is all the news. Let's do a few more comments, and then I'm going to head downstairs to watch the match. Let's go. Berkey says, Mo, what's up? Just catching the live. Gordon is turning up for England. He's making it difficult for the opponents. He's going to be a beast under Flick. Amen, my friend. Amen. Taiwo says, Mo, my dear friend, I was trying to advise that Barca should sign Vlahović as a support striker to play whenever the main striker is indispensable. So that's what how Barcelona are looking at the Vlahović situation. They look at it as a substitute striker, but right now Barcelona are not looking to sign it because they already have a substitute striker, and that's Ferran, right? So the main striker is Julian or someone else. The sub is Ferran. But if Ferran leaves, then they would bring Vlahović in his place. But Vlahović is never going to be the starting center forward. Vlahović is the support striker, as you call him. Well, right now we have Ferran. So Vlahović would be more of an option if Ferran leaves. As you know, PSG are interested in him. So if Ferran goes to PSG, then Barcelona would jump on the opportunity and bring Vlahović in the place of Ferran, not in the place of Lewy. That position is reserved for Julian or other options like, for example, Osimhen if Julian does not work out. Mikel says, Mo, what's up from Trinidad? Mo, what do you think about Julian Quiñones from Mexico as a striker target, possible good fit? No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to take away anything from what Julian Quiñones has done for Mexico in the World Cup. He's had a pretty great World Cup, but it's not a Barca. You know, Barca should be looking at players who are world-class players, not, Mbappe's and Haaland's and Julian's and Kane's of the world, right? Julian Quiñones, very good World Cup, but this is not a striker that a team like Barca or Madrid would sign. Let's see. P-Boy says, is it true that Atletico Madrid is going for Vlahović? I don't know. Only because, I don't follow much what Atletico does because they are a pathetic club. We don't like to follow pathetic clubs. Anyways, no, I really don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I know Sorloth is going somewhere else. I can't remember where, but I think Sorloth is not going to be there. And if they lose Julian, that pretty much leaves them without strikers. So I wouldn't be surprised if they would be after Vlahović. Spencer says, also, Alvarez is playing in a Scaloni and Simeone system. Hans Flick will use him differently, so you can't say you can't want someone because their form is bad. I mean, you can't say it. I'm just saying this World Cup, his form has been, I think, mostly due to injury. And Blaurana X says, what's up? Mo, I won sick with it on Calci about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you remember. That's awesome, man. Congrats. That's pretty cool. And Kerry says, let's make Airport Ugal start trending. Get out of here, Penaldo. No penalty, no party. Damn, Kerry, you a savage, bro. Kerry just came in swinging. He chose violence today. Kerry says Trinidad in the house. Let's go. And we also got Belize in the house. Let's go. We got that Caribbean in the house. By the way, I want to go to Belize. I hear beautiful things about Belize. I want to go. Mick Barca says, happy hate watch. And Abdul says, Romero is trash as Bayern fan. Araujo 2.0. I wouldn't say he's trash. I would say he's not really the Barca kind of profile. You're right. He's more of a Araujo profile as opposed to like a Cubarsí profile. That's what I would say. But to say trash, it's a little bit of a stretch. Talking about a World Cup winner. But anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to go watch the U.S. versus Belgium. And hopefully I'll be celebrating a win. But thank you guys for everything. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, peace, guys. What's up, Billy? I know it went